Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I just wanted to come on here and talk about something real quick that been kind of heavy on my heart. I started thinking is how hard it is to adapt to the times, right? Like I come from a generation where talking into a camera, I feel so uncomfortable, like so uncomfortable. I feel awkward. Um, and on the flip side, you got kids that are so comfortable talking into a camera but can't talk to people. And I'm great at talking to people. So things are kind of reversed. And a lot of the things that I grew up as seeing as, morals and values to uphold are completely lost right now, even when it comes to different codes, um, to, the streets and relationships and things of that nature. People just don't care about that type of stuff no more. Um, Yet and still, we still hold on to a lot of stuff, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, right? And one of those things is the respect between a teenager and his and her child or his child, right? I mean, a teenager and his parent. Um, like I would have felt so violated if my mom would have been going through my stuff when I was still living with her. But at the same time, I wanted to me being forward thinking. I wanted to stay there and stack my bread and buy a house. And eventually it just got to a point where I just had too much going on, and I had to leave because it was affecting our relationship. But in today's time, my relationship with my mom is completely different from where I see these relationships now, where a lot of single mothers kind of raise their sons up to be, oh, the prince of the house, the king of the house type deal, and they don't contribute one red coin to the function of the household. So it's like as we become a generation of single mothers, we also become a generation of entitled children in general, but especially our boys, right? So the boy crisis been a thing. There's a guy who wrote a book about the boy crisis in 2018 and using data from before then. So it's been something that's been an issue, especially in general, but especially in our community. And let me just play something for y'all real quick. Um, this is I didn't even realize this was up already, but this is a clip from a show called Valuetainment, and he talking to the author of the book. Um, did it go to the beginning? Oh man.
Health, crisis of
Oh no.
fatherhood, crisis of purpose. You talk about this, and then I saw one of your speeches where
You want to start a
I
business
knew
in
that was gonna
today's
happen.
economy. The first thing you're
you're talking about at the age of 9, boys and girls suicide rate is the same. At 10 or 14, boys are twice the chance of committing suicide than girls do, twice the amount of suicides as girls do. 15 to 19, it's 4 times the amount boys to girls. 20 to 25, it's 6 times the amount boys to girls. So if you don't mind unpacking the boys crisis, I have some follow-ups whether anything to do with the upbringing has to do with the divorce, but I'd like to start with the boy crisis first.
Yes. When I first submitted my proposal to my publisher for the Boy Crisis book, I had 10 causes of the Boy Crisis that I was going to write a chapter in each. And then the more I studied it, the more I realized that the single most important cause by a long shot was that basically the boy crisis resides where dads do not reside. And when boys don't have, when usually when there's one parent in the game and the other parent minimally involved or not at all involved, it's usually the mother that's the primary parent and the dad that's the secondary parent. And in those situations, the girls have challenges in more than the daughters have challenges in more than 50 different areas. But the boys have challenges in more than 50 different areas also, but their challenges are more intense. They're more likely to commit suicide than the girls are by the data that you just gave. They're more likely to move into depression when you measure depression by male standards, which is almost completely unheard of, as opposed to just the female measures of depression. Almost all of our measures of depression are female measures. The boys are much more likely to become addicted to video games. Girls and boys both play video games. The video games are very healthy at a reasonable proportional amount of level to the rest of life. When it comes to addiction to video games, boys are far more likely to be addicted to video games than girls are. Boys are far more likely to be addicted to drugs, to alcohol. Their depression leads them to feeling that they're worthless, and they become ashamed of themselves, and they fear that they're going to be rejected by girls. So they're much more likely to turn to pornography, because pornography is basically access to a variety of attractive women without fear of rejection at a price they can afford. And so guys, as they don't do as well in school, they don't feel as admired by girls. Girls tend to date winners, not losers. And so they feel that they're a loser, and that they fear that they can't risk rejection, because they know that the girls they're most attracted to are dating the quarterbacks or the student body president or some other guy that's really sharp, and on the basketball team, etc. And
Now, after listening to that, you hear a lot of these problems are problems that we have in our community, that aren't being addressed. So we have high cases of depression that we covering up with drugs, and a lot of the things that we see the symptoms and we laugh it off, or we, just count it out as being weird. Like, wearing hoodies in the summertime, and that's a sign of mental crisis, right? I don't know what word I'm looking for. But that's a sign. These the anger you see in our boys, the a drug addiction, whether that's pills or weed or whatever, and this propensity for violence. And I think it's even worse in our community, because we don't have the same, we have all of the same problems, but with additional. So where something as like porn might lead to porn addiction, and them, we suffer with porn addiction as well, that we don't look at. But also we still have access to women, because our women are not using these tools to gauge who's a loser and who's not a loser. It's pretty much, if you can put up a good front on social media, then you can get some yams, right? And we having sex at too young of an age. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are, having sex before they even reach their teenage years. They getting weapons before they even reach their teenage years, and this is a recipe for disaster, because they have no outlets to explore these things in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? And we've gotten to a point where it's already so out of control. It's like on a cartoon when a snowball rolls down a hill. Actually, it's called the snowballing effect, where it starts out as a snowball, but then it becomes this big boulder of a snowball that just destroys everything in its path. And that's where we are now. And for some reason, our parents still hold on to these old values that don't serve us. And I'm speaking of one value in particular, and that is this privacy at home, right? Now, I remember growing up, and when I went away to college, when I came home, my godbrother was staying with us. And when I came home, I had, we basically was sharing a room. Either when I came home, one of us sleep on the couch, like, we made it work. However, but, he was in his teenage years. He was, having trouble with his mom at the time because of some of his behaviors, and that's why he was staying with us. And me trying to be more of a big brother, I knew everything that was in the room. So as soon as I came home, boom, I smelled the weed, found the weed, boom, yo, what's up with this? Da 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 da. Even to the point where I even had to take the rap, because my mom wasn't dumb. She knew it was in there. She asked me about it. I took the blame for it. I don't remember exactly how, but you know what I'm saying? But I checked him about it. Yo, that's not cool. Da 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 da. Come back the next weekend, same thing. I'm like, yo, like, now it's like I already done put myself out there. I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but sometimes you just got to let those consequences, kind of play out, and you don't want to, but that's the only way that kids learn. So, you know what I'm saying? So after a while, I'm not going to take the rep. I kind of had to be the enforcer, like, yo, you're not going to have that in here. You got to do something else with it. And I forget how we, rectified the situation. But, my mom, even though she didn't go through my stuff, she wasn't oblivious to what was going on in my room. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that we live in a dangerous society now. And I think parents don't really want to face the reality of what if you do find something in your kid's room. Because that's where we at. We at this point where respect for privacy, it's understandable, but if these kids are 13, killing and getting killed, You know what I'm saying? So if you got a kid at home and you're a parent, you got a kid in between 13 and 25, if they still under your roof, you gotta be more of an enforcer. And sadly, this falls a lot on our women because, you know, single motherhood is another whole, it's a whole other thing right now. It's become a whole nother monster. It's an epidemic of single mothers. And, you know, a lot of our ills as societies falls on their lap. And it's not fair, but it is what it is. Single mothers have to take charge of their households and start going in their kids' rooms, ramshacking that joint. Like, you know what I'm saying? To the point where leave no table unturned, leave no pillow unturned. If your kid got a weapon in your house, you need to know about it. Now, it's a different thing if you want to, I don't say you want to, if you don't, I think it comes down to parents not wanting to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want your kid to be safe. So, and you're probably not thinking as your kid as a troublemaker. So if you do have a little pistol, like, I don't know how y'all think it, but I think about that video that Lil Wayne had released. I forget whose show he was on. Actually, let me find it real quick. Where he was on this talk show, and he talked about his situation with his mom. You know, where his mom with his pistol or whatever. Let me do this. And you know, she basically was asking him like, why you need to take that to school. Now, I was just talking to my aunts and my cousins about this, and it was like, you know, poverty is different all over the world. Like, it's the poverty in New Orleans and the poverty in Philly. Philly look completely different. So we can't judge Lil Wayne mom